Vinny D, my man, welcome to the show. It's going to be amazing to ask you about how you have scaled your business so fast.
Well, thanks, Craig. I love always being here, and who knows what you're going to ask me today, but I'm ready for it. Let's go.
All right, dude. So let's go back in time, my man. March 20th, March 2020, COVID hits. And what was your first thought?
Oh, I was worried that a lot of our members were going to drop out. That was my biggest concern, that a lot of people were not going to be able to adapt. And I was about to see a massive reduction in membership, recurring revenue. And then that was going to create an even more negative trickle effect. So it was really, how long is this going to last? I actually remember you saying something that mentally prepared me. I think you said, get ready for 2 years.
Yeah.
Something like crazy at the time. And I said, okay, for some reason, that was maybe the first impression I had around what to mentally prepare for. And I really remembered that. So I'm like, okay, whatever, we're going to adapt. We actually pivoted very quickly. We taught our entire coaching program. We went to like 5 calls a week and we taught them how to build a 21-day challenge. Mm-hmm. A few of them continued to use it, but we're like, what could we get everybody to do? And then I hired my old coach, Ryan Fanley, and I asked him, hey, can you write up some home workouts? Because it's been a while since I've written home workouts. And can you create a whole full-blown like COVID survival guide? So he wrote this full-blown document plus workouts. It was actually kind of shocking to see how many of our members used it. I'm like, okay, so they definitely need to brush up on their skill set, because this is a really good document, but it just went to show like where they were worried was that they didn't have a good offer to serve people to in this crisis with no gyms.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, it kind of becomes this gold rush for online fitness coaches. So COVID actually is like this blessing in disguise, at least it looked like from the outset. How did you then start to take advantage of it? What were some of your pivotal moves in, kind of the spring and summer of 2020?
I think the big one was the messaging for sure. And I think we started talking about pivoting and preparing. And we started talking about this is a positive, not a negative, as you were saying, and that your business should be thriving right now. We really spun it. Like right now, there's never been more people online. So we had to, again, what we do every day in marketing, we had to break beliefs and position it as an opportunity. And that, hey, now you have more people on social media. Now everyone's looking for people like you when they didn't even know what an online coach was before. And we really framed the opportunity is now, right? This is going to get saturated. Everyone's going to be doing this. And then, hey, this is a blessing, like you said. It was really reframing. I think what we did very well was reframe the problem as a positive. And it was a constant reframe that, hey, you wanted to do this anyways. This just sped things up. So, hey, did you really want to keep doing this? You said you wanted to switch gears. Here's your chance. This is being served to you on a silver platter. So I think and then just broadcasting how nobody's business went down.
Right.
There was everybody's business grew.
So if we go back even further to 2019, that's when you and I had a conversation about how you had like 3 businesses. And what was, but what you did was eventually you cut a few of those. How did cutting back on things actually allow you to accelerate a lot faster?
Yeah, I got focused. I had more capacity. I was able to invest into spending time with team members. It just became, the whole less is more. It was easy to start a lot of things. It's hard to finish a few things well. And it just wasn't worth the stress to be trying to grow multiple things at once. Mm-hmm. And it was just, how do you say it? It was like grow with subtraction or.
Yeah, we talk about discipline through subtraction and the productivity side of things, but we talk about slowing down to speed up. Right. If you slow down, you cut back, and it looks like, oh man, now I'm doing less, but that's actually allowed you to focus and really hone in on your team members, hone in on your messaging, and allowed you to speed up a lot faster once you got that messaging down.
Yeah, simplifying. I think that is one of the number one traits. It's what they teach in the EOS system, traction. The first thing, one of the number one things your business, one of the number one reasons your business will hit the ceiling is because it's too complicated. It's just, there's just way too many moving parts. And oftentimes businesses just need to be optimized in 2 or 3 ways. For us, one area we've been just focusing on is increasing the ascension from one level to the next. And that's all behind the scenes. You won't even see that happening in my marketing. So really getting clear on that. And then figuring out, I think the next big piece is retention. I think when you have these down months, really ensuring that the service of your program is at a level that you're hitting certain KPIs. This is a whole thing where we're learning about now. We have a dashboard for the setting department, sorry, not the setting, for the client success department, and identifying how many days does it take on average to get a first win? All right. What's the average client satisfaction score at month 1? And defining these numbers that will dictate whether someone's going to renew. Getting visibility on this is really huge. How many Ascension invitations did we send this week? How many Ascension calls did we book this week? And this type of visibility has allowed us to keep members in the program and have people renew that are still struggling, but they feel supported and they'll take ownership of, like, I need to step up. Had a guy said, he had a really bad year. He's like, I'm going to sign up again just to start over because I know you guys can help me, but I didn't do my part. So having the systems to track the performance of your clients is crucial. And when you simplify, you're able to actually dig into those departments and to maximize that. So I'm not sure if I told you, but me, Frank, and Corby, we teamed up on a new program called Domination Boardroom. And it's our highest.
I looked at the sales page the other day because I was like, I took it to my team and said, hey, when we're, pitching our new mastermind, which is what we're going to do in September, I was like, what are they promising here? How can we stack the value, which you guys did a great job of? And, we'll talk about the offer and the stacking of value, but you guys really crushed it on that.
Yeah. And that's positioned, you have to be over $30,000 a month. So now we've got these 3 levels. We've got 6-figure coach, 7-figure mastermind, and Domination Boardroom. And the whole business model is, how do we move people from one level to the next faster? What we found is that the more time they spend with us, the faster they ascend. So we have to put a lot of time into longer form trainings, boot camps. We do a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't see, that we don't advertise. One that has been one of our secrets is we run these accountability boot camps, and the members actually have to apply to get a part of them. And they're pretty badass. We'll have a couple coaches run them, and it's not coaching, it's check-ins. So everyone gets KPIs, and twice per week, they have to just check in if they're on track or off track. So the level of execution and speed of implementation just accelerates. It's just basically what you do, and you want to get results in the gym. You start training with a crew of guys. Yeah. You're like, I need a crew. Now you got your crew of guys, and you're all focused on the same KPIs. And everyone's just focused on how many calls you're booking today. And we would keep it really simple. How many calls did you book? How many did you receive? How many did you close? So we're just really, even like talking about this concept of simplification, simplifying what they need to focus on. And it's funny, it's how we sold like pretty much everyone into Domination Boardroom. It was the number one thing. The reason they all came to the event asking about ads. And we said, all of you guys have tried the ad strategies we've given you. Why are they not working? They don't have a data dashboard. So we have to slow everybody down, educate them, and show them how to start getting their different platforms to communicate with each other. So now they're like, oh, this is the root issue. Yeah, you don't have confidence. Same stuff Joel's been teaching us since 2011. Yep. But they don't have the confidence to keep increasing their spend because they don't have visibility on their numbers. So we start, like you said, it's slow down to go fast. So we helped, we discovered that I think about 9, now we had 17 people sign up. I think almost 90% of them don't get P&Ls monthly. Wow. No P&Ls. So we said, what's your P&L? We want to look at it. What's have you read Profit First? And this is stuff that we've said, but sometimes some of this boring stuff that you need in order to grow doesn't actually become sexy until you've tried all the other sexy stuff and you realize, okay, now I need to actually dig in. So simplifying your business helps you also gives you confidence to simplify your clients' businesses. And I think that's really what a lot of people are looking for, simplification.
Yeah. So if we step back, you mentioned Corby, and you're running programs with him, and he was a great hire for you. And did you hire him before COVID?
Yeah, we hired him when I was in black belt.
Yeah. So we hired him as a consultant, and we're going to hire him again. So we're kind of got the same guy working for us. Tell me about how valuable this hire was, why it's worked out so well, and what how would you describe his role in the business and how it complements you?
So one thing is that Corby's a Ferrari. So, you got to put him on the right track. So one thing we discovered is that he's spending too much time working with the beginners. You know what I'm saying? It's like putting a Ferrari on the side streets. No, Ferrari's meant to be opened up on the freeway.
Yeah.
So what we did is we got him spending more time with the advanced students where his expertise got more leverage. Mm-hmm. So that was a big one we did with him. The next one was that we just let him be Corby. When we try to get him to fill out lots of spreadsheets, we try to get him to, do things in a way that weren't him, then he just started losing interest. So that was interesting. I had to kind of, manage just, hey, Corby wants to coach, let him coach. All right. So that was a big one. And doing the accountability groups with the advanced guys. And then the third thing, and I didn't do this intentionally, I actually just learned this at a mastermind event I was at in Miami 2 weeks ago with this young buck, and this kid's crushing it. And he got to, how do you hire A+ talent? And he has a whole process, a whole hiring funnel. It was really cool. He has a VSL funnel for every department and how he hires. And his whole thing is you should spend more time trying to hire than you do find clients, because if you find the right who instead of the how, they'll be able to go find the clients for you. So that was a huge aha moment. And then people ask, well, how do you pay these guys? And this is what I actually did with Corby, and not knowing what I was doing at the time, it actually worked out. So the secret to getting A+ talent is to ask them what they want to make. Just ask them. And then what you do is, if let's say they say $8,000 and you're like, oh, like dude, that's like, yeah, let's say they're 8, and you're like, that's twice as much as I pay any other coach on my team. What you do is you give them half, but then you come up with an OTE, online track earnings, what they need to do in order to get to 8K. And what we did with Corby is that, good job. Oh my goodness, good job. Daddy's on a podcast, sweetheart. She had, my daughter had her first track and field meet here.
How'd she do? What'd she win?
She was third place and first place, and she beat 4 grade 4s.
No, in my first one, 2 grade 4s beat me. That's why.
Oh my goodness, good job, sweetheart.
Is she another distance Del Monte?
No, she watched the 1,500 meters today, and she says, I don't want to do that.
Also, I had 7 treats and I had 4 ice creams.
Okay, amazing.
4 ice creams.
That's
4 slushies.
So ask them. And then what I told Corby is that, hey man, if you can help me get to these different levels, then we can go up. So that became his incentivization plan. So when he started, I don't know if we were like about 50 to 60 members, and we got to 100, then 150, then 200, then 250 to 300. And his base was based on hitting these new milestones. So that's a really good model. And that way you can hold them accountable to, hey, listen, it's more of I don't think you're going to like your base the next couple of months because we've lost a lot of members. It's more like, how can I support you in earning more money? Yeah. So we're helping each team member operate the business as if it's their own business. I think that has worked out really well for us. And Corby, I think his specialty is really just helping people simplify their own business and just stay focused on way fewer things. Like sometimes I'll message him and I'll be stressed out and he'll just say, "Hey Vince, this is all we need to do the next 3 months. We got to get the 6-figure coach webinar going again. We got to get tight on retention, and then we got to revamp our paid ad strategy." That's the rest of 2022. And that's us talking in like March. It's like, he's right. I'm like, all we need to do is those 3 things. So,
we hired him and we've had 3 calls with him. And the other day he was just like, the only thing you guys need to focus on right now is if you can take your call show up rate, which on our ads has been a pain. And he said, if you take that from, I think it was 40% to 60%, you guys are going to make this much money. That's all you need to do. So our entire, focus for the next 21 days is to build out every single very detailed step of, okay, somebody, fills in an application, our setter calls them. And then if they don't book, if they miss the call, then here's what goes out. And here's the content that goes out before they get on the call. And it's just like, we got a lot of holes in the bucket. And he said, just fill those holes in the bucket. And here you and I are like thinking about, 19 different, new funnels and stuff. And, he has that great job of coming in and getting you focused on what matters, which is really key. So how would you describe what you're doing in the business, your day-to-day roles? And, with 250 plus members and 5 days of training per week, and then this side project that you have, you sound busier than ever. So what is your, what's your role look like? What does your day look like? What boundaries are you putting in place that, make sure that you have time for your 3 kids and your amazing wife?
Yeah, I think the very first thing is to have maintain all those structures, your end of day routine, phone off at 8:45, in bed by 10 o'clock, doing a bit of journaling, recording the top 3 wins from the day, projecting my top 3 wins for tomorrow before I go to bed, getting my 4 liters of water filled up, getting my workout clothes lined up, making sure my alarm's set at the right time. So, and then I do 10 pages of reading in the evening time as well. So that, and then I also script out a part of my morning routine is to get 45 minutes of deep work in, because I'm working out in the morning. I got to be back by 7:25 to help out with the kids. It is ruthless discipline. Like at the end of the day, like this morning, I had 4 things I wanted to get done before I would go to the gym. And I got one of them done. And I've been flustered all day because these 3 things were supposed to get done by 5:55. Yep. And I lied in bed for an extra 9 minutes from 4:30 to 4:39. And I'm like, that just kind of threw me off. So it's like, you're just trying to tighten every bolt in the car to make sure it's running as efficiently as possible. So for me, when I stack those wins in the morning, that's when I'm most productive. But if I have a crappy morning, we onboarded 2 new setters yesterday, and they're super hungry. So I'm spending the first hour of every day for the next couple of weeks until they're hitting KPI, and we're just troubleshooting. And I was a little off at the start of the call until there was some positive news, because I was still feeling like an imposter because I slept in 9 minutes. But if I hadn't slept in 9 minutes and I got all my deep work done before I went to the gym, I know I would have been more on my game. So one of the things is really just trying to level up my own leadership and stay stable. Because I find like I'm dealing with interpersonal team dynamics that when I get frustrated, my team retracts and they go quiet. They don't respond well to when I get frustrated. So I'm starting to identify that, hey, I don't have as much fire on my team as I might need. So how am I spending time is, I got great team members, but I have to make sure that there's clear black and white expectations around their performance. And one big thing that I'm starting to try and spend some time on is hiring. So that what I've found is that when I get stressed out the most, it's because I'm tolerating lack of performance. So I feel like I'm being held hostage. So the reason I feel like I'm held hostage is because I don't have anybody on the bench to throw in the game. So what I learned recently from this young kid is that he's always hiring. and he's always talking to people who could potentially come work for him, so that, as Bedros says, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. You're never in a position where if 2 of your closers leave, or 2 of your setters leave, you're abandoned. You're like, okay, you 2 guys jump in the game. So spending more time recruiting and talking to potential talent is something that I'm trying to fill my schedule with, which was something that I've never ever done before. It's weird to now, like, I'm learning how to like find people's profiles on LinkedIn and trying to find people that could be a good fit, and starting private messages. Hey, I love what you do. I'm looking for someone like you. What would it take for you to come work for us? Like, really different types of conversations. So that's a big one. And then spending more time like on the strategy. Like, we're running ads, but we run a lot of ads to our application funnel, and our pipeline's drying up. And so I have to assess, does my media buyer have the right strategy, or do I need to start talking to other media buyers and figure out, like, do we even have the right strategy? And then looking at the data, hey, the data isn't as clear as I need it to make some of these decisions. Here's what I need. So I think a lot of my time is just really making sure there's clear black and white expectations, and that there's clear standards of performance and clear standard operating procedures for the few things that are moving the needle.
So you and your brother had this program called Men of Bedrock, and there's 3 habits that you guys have all your members do at night. What are the 3 nightly habits again?
Yeah. So the first one is to lay out your clothes for the next morning, because you're going to be working out. The second one is to journal for, it's actually going to show you, it's just a very one short page. So what you do is you state who are you grateful for today, thoughts about today. So it's not overwhelming. It's like really light. And then today's 3 wins, they can be personal or professional. And then tomorrow's big 3 wins, that's out of the book from oh my goodness, there it is, The Gap in the Game by Dan Sullivan. Yeah. And you project what you want to win tomorrow, and then you have a little checklist. So did you read your 5 to 10 pages? Oh, this is the end of day report. So did you start at night? Did you stack your 3 wins? Did you read your 5 to 10 pages? Did you nail your workout? Did you stick to your diet? And then a big one in our program is that your phone is off the hour before bed. So just completely shut it down. So that's it. And then you just report in on it. And then there's 6 little mountain peaks, and you just circle, depending on how you did. Did you nail the day? You score 6. If not, you're down here on the 1. And that's the process. And then we have 10 things that they can choose from for the morning time. And they can pick 3 different things out of a list, which becomes your wins. And it's the 3 things you do at the start of your day, the very first 30 minutes of your day. And you create your own morning routine. And guys are really, really liking that, because they consist of all sorts of things. It could be reading, it could be reflection, it could be sending 3 gratitude texts. We got that one from Bedros. It could be take a selfie. It could be, there's a great thing out of Donald Miller's book, Hero on a Mission, called Reading Your Eulogy. So he walks you through this exercise. Hydration and aminos, or it could be deep work. So you pick 3 things that you want to have done in your first 30 minutes of every day. So it's not, I know we're not fans of doing long, drawn out morning routines. It's quick, first 30 minutes, and then you get at it. Then you get your workout in, and then you get your day going.
So earlier you mentioned, you had that sleep in of 9 minutes. You're leading this big team. When and this goes back to like the March 2020, when things are going weird and you have no idea what the future is going to be like. And, there's that temptation for entrepreneurs to hit the panic button, or they have that imposter syndrome. How does Vince get his mind right? What are the deep motivations, the deep why, and what are the tactics and strategies that you use when, inside, behind, Vince's, smiling face, inside Vince is like, oh man, how do you make sure to get your mind right and then spread that amongst the team?
Again, I think reframing the situation is what an opportunity we have. And really, how can we position this as a chance to become better, right? And it really is looking at it as, hey, this isn't a setback, right? This could be a setup for something bigger, right? This isn't trouble. This is training. What's this training us for? We must be in training mode here. Who's getting us? We're getting ready for something even bigger. So we just really use that mindset. And I think it is, I also think my competition has the same problems as me. So I'm really, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm the only guy who's going through this. So I always want to look at what's everybody else doing. And, you know, we go to the 100 million mastermind and talk to these guys, and stop watching all the negative news and know that you're watching probably the fiction channel for the most part. Who knows if what they're saying to you is even a degree, you know, true or worth your attention, because it's so laced in fear and negativity, and it completely takes away your focus. I think through all this stuff, what I realize is that despite how much time you wasted on fighting and getting frustrated and you know, living in fear, the one thing that no one ever could take away was your ability to focus. And when I just focused on what I could control, what I could build, and who I hung out with, and getting new ideas, you know, you go to the 100 million mastermind and you hear about all these, you know, endeavors, all these launches, all this like impact and events and all these different things these guys are doing. You're like, holy crap. Then you start to see the truth behind lines like money's not disappearing, it's just trading hands. And you're like, am I going to get in on this or what? So you really just understand that it's never as worse as you think it is. And yes, should you prepare? Can you learn? But oftentimes what you're being told or what you're losing sleep over is never as bad as it is worth giving your efforts to.
I think that's a really, really great point. Well, you can only play so much defense. You got to keep playing offense. So you've got this big team now. What does it look like to manage this big team? And how do you keep, you know, you talked about the hiring, you talked about some of the compensation. How do you keep everybody on with the mission and the vision? How do you keep leveling everybody up on the team, the coaches and the marketing side of things? And then also, how do you keep the communication going? What actual kind of calendar
one
do you
thing
have?
is, there's a couple of things, like one, getting our team to read and make sure that they're staying sharp and helping the team. Like I'm helping 3 team members. They have to send me reports at the end of the day that they walked 45 minutes, you know, drank their water and turned their phone off on time. Because I'm like, I started asking some simple questions to some team members, and I'm like, what time do you wake up at? 7:30. I'm like, 7:30? What are you doing? Like, what time do you go to bed at? 11. I'm like, 8.5 hours sleep? Like, what do you need all that sleep for? And then they're like tired. I'm like, what are you eating at night? The next thing you know, they're like, well, I'm drinking and I'm lying on the couch and I'm watching. And I'm like, you're on my team. I'm like, what the heck? So you got to make sure your team is being supported with their own health, that their own structure, their own disciplines. So that's a big one. We all started reading Patrick Lencioni, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. One thing that showed up for us is that the foundation of that book, I'll give away the first one, is that most teams don't have trust because they're afraid of conflict. And conflict actually increases trust because conflict increases connection. So if we have a fight and we both get our spiel on the table, we're actually feel more connected at the end of that. And a lot of people on my team are just very quiet, passive. As Bedros would say, they don't have claws and fangs. So we had to have a chat, the whole team, guys, moving forward, conflict is good. Conflict is good. And some of our best calls have been when people are yelling. And it could be scary if you just come on, you're like, is this healthy? It's actually more healthy than everybody just being silent and nobody actually sharing what they think. And at the end of the day, I have to make the decision, or the integrator would make the decision. It's not a consensus, but at least now everybody's on board. So that's one thing that has helped us a lot. We are going through the whole EOS implementation system. So we have an accountability chart, and we spent time figuring out the right seats. So when you have the right seats and the right black and white expectations, what happens is that they're so crystal clear that the person has one of two choices. If they're in that seat, they either have to bow out and say, I can't hold these responsibilities, or they say, I'm going to step up. So you create an environment where low performance gets smoked out really quickly. And as you know, they use the saying, whose eyeballs do you look into? Who's the single point of contact for these different divisions? So if retention is down, I look into Corby's eyes.
Yeah.
If sales are down, I look into Marco's eyes. And you have this across your team with regards to however your team's set up. If your engagement is low, your platforms aren't growing. I'm currently the head of marketing, so I look into my own eyes. So you have a single point of accountability for each of these departments. And then, you know, Corby has a team of coaches underneath him. Marketing I have a whole team of, you know, hired guns, if you will, underneath me. And then tech has my tech girl is also manages the data. So the media buyer sits underneath her. So he sits underneath her. So it's just essentially a chain of command. And then we run the L10 structure once a week for the leadership team. And we're getting ready probably in a month or two to roll out the L10 for all the different teams and get them on that structure.
The EOS level 10 meeting.
Yeah, the EOS level 10 meeting. So that's really been good. And we use Asana to run the meetings. So everything gets divided up at the end of the call. There's full accountability around what task gets assigned. We have our big rocks. We've got our to-do tasks. And we just work this structure every week. And this has been like this has been a huge game changer for me personally, because I'm no longer able to come on a meeting and start to say, we need to do this, we need to do that. If there's issues, they get put down in the issues list. And then the team votes on the top one or two things that we discuss and we fix permanently. And sometimes some of these things take a couple of weeks to fix. So I don't even get anything off. I don't even get to say, hey, but we should do this. No, Vince, we can't do this. We're focused on this. So that structure has really helped us slow down in a productive way.
Yeah, because it's a lot different when, you know, you and I were running these small, almost one-man army info businesses where we got to make all the top-down decisions, right?
Right. Exactly.
So recently you had a huge event. You brought a lot of your team together. What did you guys do before and after the event as a team? And what do you like about in-person team meetings that you feel like you might not be able to get on the virtual? And how do you fix those virtual problems?
You know, it's kind of funny. I actually didn't even get to attend we were supposed to have a team day the Sunday after the event, but it was such a stressful event because we lost our sitter the day of the event. So Flavia ended up having to be with the kids when she was supposed to be at the event. So we ended up just driving straight home to Toronto from Nashville, you know, on a whim. It was a 12-hour drive. And I just I was on the call through Zoom. So it was definitely great hanging out with the team. We're going to try and do it. We're going to try and do one team day after our masterminds now that we can get back together. So every 4 months, get together 3 times per year total. We didn't actually get together before the event started. There was so much, you know what it is? It gets really expensive. It starts adding up. It's not cheap because if you're bringing your whole team in, I think you might have taught me this too. I said, who pays for all this? You know, for all your key team leaders, you're paying. I'm like, shoot. So I got to make sure if they're there, we're making good use of their time, or this is going to be a very expensive month of meetings.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, it's amazing. I kind of want to switch gears into the family side of things now. So what's the communication that you and Flavia have now that your business has grown so much, it demands so much of your time? You've got the side project with your brother. You know, you got 3 kids, you know, between 3 and how old's Amelia? Is she 10?
Yeah, 8, 6, and 3.
Man, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff to manage. What are your tips and tricks for everybody?
Plan. Everything that we have to get done in order to exit the country is on a pink Post-it note inside the kitchen.
Because for everybody listening, Vince is moving from Canada to the United States.
Yeah, so we have over a dozen Post-it notes And, one of them was sell the gym. Another was to get rid of the Audi. Another one was our builder of this house did a crap job. There's a million things wrong with this house. So there's this huge list of things that have to get fixed in this house before we can put it up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a huge list of things. And now our attorney is telling us that we got to go get a police check and fingerprint. I'm like, why didn't you tell us this freaking a year and a half ago when we started this immigration process? So we've got all sorts of things like that up on the kitchen. And the way we do this is with 3 steps. All right. You might have heard the saying, planning prevents piss poor performance.
Mm-hmm.
And we have what needs to get done. How does it need to get done? When does it need to get done by? So I'll be honest, our communication isn't like top notch, but those little Post-it notes on the fridge as things are getting checked off, I put a big check mark through it. And we're chipping away. And then
well, we know what you're going through, because coming down here to Mexico, in the last, we've been here 6 months now. So, we had to find the hospital, we had to find the doctor, we had to, and then once, we had our baby, our daughter now has 2 passports. She has a Mexican passport, Canadian passport, required all this documentation, we had to go and get a pediatrician to sign something. We had to drive to Playa del Carmen to go to the Canadian consulate. We had to, and then after we got that thing, then it allowed us to get our permanent residency, which required me and Michelle to go and stand in lines, and then this, that, and the other thing. And then the other day we finally got our Mexican driver's license. Like we didn't use Post-it notes, but thinking back, it might've been helpful, but we have folders, right? So we have, this is a folder for the car. This is a folder for the driver's license. This is a folder for, we take this folder when we go here. And, fortunately we've hired a lot of people who stand in lines for us and then we just show up and, they've saved a place for us. But, we immigrated to another country just like you did. And it, like you said, if one day we forgot one document and it was like, I didn't plan properly, which was the piss poor performance, and you're doing the exact right thing, because there's a lot of T's to cross and then I's to dot along the way here.
It's insane right now. Yeah, I mean, we just realized that we probably won't have any stability until next summer, not this summer, next summer, probably 15 months or so, because the house isn't even going to get done until hopefully January, December. And we got to find a place. I've been looking for houses, like things that I'd like to stay in, and I can't find anything. And I got to figure out, all right, we live 20 minutes from the kids' school. I've got to find an HQ. Where am I going to work? We're building myself like a separate farmhouse where I'm going to have my office, but that can't get built until the house is done. So we got to get a permit for that. That's not going to start till January. So where am I going to work out? Where am I going to train? And I'm talking about me here. How about the kids' emotional well-being? Are we going to be lonely there? Are we going to find friends there? Now I'm talking about bringing, other team members. You guys should all come down. So it is emotionally exhausting right now.
Well, the cool thing is first of all, I got 2 team members that live in Franklin. So yeah, Jeff Schneider, you met Jeff Schneider. He lives in Franklin and his wife lives in Franklin, obviously with him. They're great people. And then I have a client who has a recording studio in Franklin. So when we went to Nashville last year, Michelle and I even went and recorded songs at his studio. And he's got a digital marketing business, and he's a man of strong Christian faith. So, I'll be able to introduce you to them. And then they were part of a big real estate mastermind group that, they'll probably be able to connect you into. And going to Nashville, Franklin, Tennessee, they're warm people down there. So I don't think you guys are gonna,
wow.
Yeah. You guys won't have a hard time connecting in there. That's for sure.
Yeah. We're excited. So, but yeah, it's all new. Everything's new. And then you're trying to, stabilize or grow this business. So I think you really need to have the long view, right? Like it's all about the long view. If you don't have a long view in any of this, then you're going to lose it. You're going to snap. But
what's your general long view on your industry and maybe the online business space industry? Like what do you see for 2023, 2024? What are you excited about?
I think the guys that are going to clean house, it sounds so simple, but I think honestly, the guys that will clean house are the guys that are spending most of their time right now fixing their product and making their product better and really dialing in their ascension from one level to the next. So service, at Nashville, Adrian was telling me it was his first business event. And I said, so how'd you like it? And he says, it was good. It was good. Like, first time hearing Wes Watson and Bedros and Trevor Bachmeyer, these guys are dropping the F-bomb left and right.
Yeah.
It's interesting. They all had the same theme. Like if you listen to what they were really saying all the way through, they were all saying one of three things. They were saying service, vulnerability, and character. Those were the big three themes of our events. Now, did we talk about tactics and stuff? Yeah, but those were like the big takeaways and how to lead with those three pieces. So how do you lead with service? It's like, hey guys, how are we making this product better? Hey, what are we doing internally for the members to succeed? Because if you can get that right, you can get the LTV up, right? If you can build an insane client success department where your coaches are bought into the vision, they love servicing the members are diehards, then you can make your ads work. And I think that's where it comes down to. So the ad stuff, like it's getting harder and harder, at least for us, is sending. We used to send, like a year and a half ago, send ads just directly to my application funnel, and we get tons of bookings and people would actually show up. Now you were touching on it earlier, that doesn't work anymore. We need to now send people to a top of funnel video and then build the video views and then a middle of funnel and get them to watch some nurturing content and then retarget everybody. Then they see, it's like way more complicated, but it can work. It just requires just a bit more of a long view strategy.
Well, I'll tell you what is your community. Corby was talking about it. I know about it very well. Like you guys do so much training, people stay for the community, and your community is top notch. And so I get a lot of people messaging me still on Instagram about, coaching and they're an online fitness expert. And I'm like, could I help them? Sure. But we don't even take them. I just say, I'm going to introduce you to Vince. He has the biggest community of online fitness pros doing 20 or 30K a month or more. You need to be there. Like, I know there's a whole bunch of other competitors, but I don't even tell anybody about a competitor. They say, well, what do you think about this person? I say, no, you're crazy not to be in Vince's community, because I think you could pretty much do nothing. And if they did nothing else but get in the community and talk to other people in the group and, maybe ask a couple of questions to Frank and Corby, those people would be super successful because of what you built there. So I think that word of mouth and that product is going to allow you to grow really well. And I know the future is going to be amazing for you guys.
And back to the vision you were saying and simplifying down, like I did a half day of coaching with Bedros recently, and he shared his 3-step formula for his vision in Nashville as well. And it's, what do you want? When do you want it? And why do you want it? And that message has been allowed us to make a lot of decisions. So like when we're getting our core focus, do we need this offering and this offering? No, we need more people in 6-figure coach. We need to get them results. We got to put them in a boot camp, and we got to take the top 50% of those and make them a good offer to send a 7-figure mastermind. And then we do that again in 7-figure mastermind, but now they go to domination boardroom. And it's just like, that's the whole business model. So it's because we have our focus of having 1,000 people in the program active, 1,000 active members by the end of 2025, so that we can serve 40,000 people per day. And that comes from, or no, not 40,000, 100,000, because each person on average will serve on average 100 members a month. So we'll impact the lives of 100,000 people daily by the end of 2025 through muscle and fitness. Perfect. So just like now on the team, everybody hears that and they hear me talk about something different. They can hold me accountable. Like, hey, did the vision change? I wish they were more vocal like that, to be honest. I wish they were more vocal like that, but that's what we're trying to get to.
That's amazing, dude. No, I think actually the biggest thing that there's a couple of things I'm taking away, one, that compensation plan, but that making sure that there's a little more conflict, well managed, of course, in the meetings. I think that I need to encourage people to speak up, and, I've got some people that naturally do it, fortunately, but I know there's a few other people with some really great ideas that I need to encourage to spar a little bit and have the good conflict, because that'll lead to some great things. So, man, this has been really awesome. Amazing to catch up with you finally after all this this time. And I know I'll see you down here in Mexico soon. Vinny, is there anything else that you want to share with people, whether it's on mindset or whether it's on, what to look for in the future in business? Anything you want to share before we shut her all down?
Yeah, I mean, there probably is, but I think just take a simplified approach to planning your strategy. I think it really, you really have to just strip out anything that isn't going to move the needle, and 1 to 2 rocks per quarter. If you can really just figure out, like, what am I going to concentrate on, 1 to 2 rocks at a time, you'll start to make that headway, because most people, man, are just imploding left and right. And I feel like you have to be that stable oak tree in the storm to just outlast a lot of people. And when you just start to outlast, you start to gain a new sense of confidence in yourself that, hey, there's not many guys around me doing what I'm doing here. Maybe I am doing something right. And you start to see that, we're doing something based on some very strong principles. Mm-hmm. So the stuff that we're really working on is simplifying, a lot more delegation, spending more time delegating, and building systems around each person's expertise. That's another thing, like making sure each person on your team is doing what they love most. And that 70% of the time they spend working on tasks on your business, it's what they do love doing. And then systematizing, really getting documentation around the core SOPs and making sure, like, they're like plays, in a football, in a playbook. It's like, hey, we're running this play. Does everyone know how to run this play? Or if we're not, then that's a big thing. And then the last thing is just getting that structure for your company, getting the right people in the right seats. Mm-hmm. And just really just keep stripping out people that can't hold the responsibilities. And you always put the structure first and the people last. That's something we're learning. It's like, how does this company need to be set up? Like right now, I don't actually have like an integrator. So that seat is empty in my company. I currently, everyone reports to me. So it's not the optimal setup. I have somebody doing some operations, but so the reason I share that, just to wrap up my final spiel here, is that I'm owning my journey. I think that's the number one thing everybody here has to do, is they have to own their journey. And yeah, my company isn't as cool as somebody else's, but this is the journey I'm on. I have to take the time to fill the seat properly. I need to build this, and I'm going to own that. And that's what makes my story unique, because nobody else has this story. Nobody else can relate to my problems. And that is what makes me relatable and interesting to someone who wants to come work with me, just fully owning my story. And that's been a big theme that we transfer to all of our members too.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, I'll tell you what, man, you've been in my world for 15 years now. So I know you're not going anywhere, and you're going to weather the storms, and while everybody else implodes, you're going to keep crushing it, dude. So amazing to have you as a friend and mentor, brother. I appreciate this. Thanks for coaching me through this session. I learned a lot. So awesome to catch up with you, Vince. And I can't wait to see you again in person soon.
Absolutely, brother. Can't wait to see you.
So Instagram is at Vince Del Monte to follow you there. Any other good places to catch your info?
Yep. At Vince Del Monte on YouTube, Facebook, and the podcast, The Vince Del Monte Show.
Awesome, dude. All right, my man. Thank you so much for being a superstar, and we'll talk to you soon, brother.